great to see you all here today on a beautiful Sunday. It's been an amazing weekend, and I'm excited to be playing this role instead of the role following me at an event for the first time in quite a while. It's been an amazing opportunity to serve all of you in the Virginia Legislature and on the Alexandria City Council. As I've said pretty clearly to folks, I'm taking a break for a while. I need to focus on business and family and other things, but I'm not saying goodbye forever. And I'm hoping there'll be a point in the future where maybe I can be giving a speech like this again. But for now, I'm very excited to be able to introduce an incredibly close friend of mine, someone who's like a sister to me, who I think has everything we could possibly want in an elected representative for Alexandria. I'm going to start by just introducing some of the great elected officials who are here today, some of my friends in the legislature. We'll start with them. Patrick Hope from North Arlington is here. Patrick is one of our foremost experts on healthcare issues in the legislature, and the person I'm about to introduce will be an amazing partner to Patrick on those issues, and I'm excited about that. Eileen Philipporn is right here. Eileen takes on all of the hard issues. If there is a hard issue that involves lots of wrangling and coordination with Republicans and lots of nuance and pages of policy, Eileen is the person who often is the one in front of that. She cares about and works on legislation related to our kids, and had a big impact on child care laws this year by really taking the bull by the horns and making sure we toughened up our child care laws so kids were getting the kind of quality care they should get. That wouldn't have happened without Eileen Philipporn. And I know Julie because of her incredible experience with early childhood in Virginia and around the country, will be an amazing partner to Eileen on a number of policy issues going forward. I'm happy that Eileen's here, so let's give her a round of applause. We have a number of local officials here today. John Chapman from the Alexandria City Council. John has been a tireless advocate of the basic idea that everyone in Alexandria deserves a chance to get help, of affordable housing, of opportunities in education and early childhood. Julie has done a lot to provide affordable housing to people with disabilities. She's done a lot to provide early childhood education in Alexandria and around the country. I know that having Julie in the legislature will help John on the city council, and I'm glad John's here to support Julie today. Del Pepper is here up front. Del on the Alexandria City Council has been probably one of the folks on the forefront of supporting equality issues when they weren't cool. She supported equality issues throughout her tenure for people of different ethnic groups and sexual orientations and everything else. She's always willing to go out of her way to promote the basic idea that equality for everyone is better for all of us. And I'm really happy Del's here today to support you. Mayor Ewell is here today. Mayor Ewell, he was here, maybe he left? He was here, he left. But we should give the mayor a round of applause. One of the things that you deal with at the state level is laws that affect local government. And one of the branches of local government that is most impacted by choices that the legislature makes from time to time and always has issues that the legislature has to deal with is the commissioners of revenue and the folks who kind of collect the taxes and make sure customers are getting a good experience as we go through that process of collecting revenues and keeping local government functioning. Ingrid Maroy from Arlington is one of the best commissioners of revenue in the state. I'm really proud that she's here for Julie today. Now, have I missed anyone? I don't think I missed anyone. All right. So, I'm just going to look at my notes, which are electronically provided for me. So, taking notes. I think there are three things you should look for in someone you vote for elected office. Three qualities you should look for. I've used these qualities to make my choices for all of my voting life, and I think they are more pertinent in this election than ever before as I've looked at this great field of candidates. The first quality you need to look for is experience. In a community where most people have master's degrees, where most people are experts on a wide range of topics, we expect our elected officials to come with deep policy expertise and gravitas that goes with it so that they can be effective and so that they can properly represent our community. We expect our public officials to have some fight in them. We have high expectations in Alexandria and Arlington and Fairfax. High expectations for the quality of service the government provides, for the way government provides for everyone in the Commonwealth. And we want elected officials who will go to bat and have the backbone to fight for what matters so that everyone gets a chance to be successful in our communities. And lastly, politicians should have a story. They should have a reason why they're doing this, that they're going to fall back on when they face issues that they never thought of before. They should have a reason that they put themselves through the grueling parts of politics and the parts that aren't as much fun and they're tedious and tiresome and that cause them to kind of really have to kind of double down. You've got to have a story that keeps that fire in your stomach and make sure that you're going to be there to fight and take that experience and apply it. Julie has all three. And it's rare to find somebody who hits all three out of the park. And she does. On experience, Julie and I we started working on local government political campaigns in Alexandria, Democratic politics, almost 20 years ago. Julie's worked for basically every statewide campaign, and most local campaigns have happened in Democratic politics in Alexandria for the last 20 years. There is no candidate in this race who's done more for Democratic candidates in Alexandria, Arlington, and Fairfax than Julie. Julie has been chair of our Community Services Board. She has served on the boards of local nonprofits. She has done policy work professionally and as a volunteer at the state and national level across the country. There is no one running in this race who has deeper experience as it relates to policy on healthcare and mental health and kids and equality than Julie. No one. Lastly, and political experience. And I mentioned it, but I want to emphasize it. Because the folks who toil in the fields of Democratic politics do it because they are passionate and they care. And they don't usually do it for credit, and they don't do it for glory, and they don't do it for any kind of accolades. And Julie's been doing that for 20 years. She's been doing that hard work. And when someone who comes from that world decides they want to step out and take all of that experience that they've learned and apply it and serve all of us, we should give them the chance to do that. And I'm proud that Julie's been willing to stand up for this. Fight. You need candidates who can fight. And fight in Richmond is not just about giving big speeches. Fight in Richmond is not standing up and giving the big barn burner of a speech. That's part of it. But fight is also holding people to their feet to the fire in subcommittee meetings and committee meetings and knowing enough about the policy areas you care about that you will keep people on the defensive and force folks to face realities they may not like to face because they don't square with their ideology and they don't square with who they are or what their voters tell them they should. Julie has that fight. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about that. When Julie and I were serving on the Community Services Board in Alexandria, Julie was chair. And we were working to put a group home in this neighborhood in Alexandria, in Delegate. And it was for me kind of my walk through fire moment, like that taught me that you can deal with something really hard and come out successfully on the other side. We fought with the local neighborhood civic association, which I later became president of. We fought with the neighbors near where the group home got placed. We fought with the city council that had members who I greatly respect and are great friends of mine who asked Julie to step down from the Community Service Board for fighting to make sure folks had a chance to have a place to live and to participate in our community. Julie stood up to local officials, she stood up to neighbors, and she did it with grace and with the kind of style that you want, because it wasn't a style that turned people away, it was a style that brought people into the fold and helped them learn and appreciate and understand why she was fighting as strongly as she did. For me, that was really a moment in my political and civic life that I learned you can take on really hard issues, and if you have your facts right and you know what you're doing, you can make a difference and you can walk through fire. But the person who taught me to walk through fire is Julie Jakopic. Julie Jakopic will walk through fire for the people that we care about the most, for the people who deserve that chance, They need someone in Richmond who will walk for fire with them, and Julie will. And lastly, you need someone who has a story. You know, why are you doing this? You know, you should ask any politician who calls you for money, why are you doing this? If they can't give you a good answer, boy, you better think about it. Because there's going to be moments when they need to have something to fall back on to keep them going. Julie's got that story. Just like me, she's raised by a single mom. She's put up with all sorts of family struggles that go with that, and been really the person in her family who kind of keeps everything together and keeps everyone together at times when it's not so easy. She's got family members now who are very young, in the audience over here, who deserve a chance to grow up in a society where they can be successful and they can achieve kind of regardless of what life throws at them. Julie's been through it all. She's been through the stuff that folks in Virginia live through every day. Folks in Alexandria in the 45th live through every day. She's been through it. And she does it with grace and with style and with a confidence that we should be proud of. We need someone with that kind of story in Richmond because that's the kind of person who can get things done. And lastly, and I got to say this about her story, and this is a part of her story that for me is really important. We don't have enough women in Richmond. I've got two daughters, and for them, Julie is like an aunt. And I've been hosting dinners at my house for my 12 years in public life, trying to encourage women to run for public office. And it's hard, because society expects women to take on, you know, all sorts of things, from work to the house to the kids, and all of the difficulties that go with that. So it's hard to find women who can make the time to do this. And I applaud every woman who does, because we need to have equal representation of voices in our politics. Julie can bring more experience than the guys, more community depth than the guys, and quite frankly, can show us all what a strong female leader can be, and I want my daughters to have that as an example. So with that said, I am happy and proud to introduce my insanely good friend, my almost sister, Julie Jakopic.